truths that have guided your life are false. They're truths in disguise or faults in disguise. I don't know. What if everything you thought was true is a lie? And what if everything you thought was a lie is truth? How do you know? Where did those beliefs come from? Who taught you these beliefs? Well, today in the classroom, let's peel back. What created this belief? Was it mob mentality? Did you feel pressured into it? What is it? Let's talk about it today in the classroom because it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge. And I'm so grateful that I'm going to be able to do this with you today.
And when you need a friend, you can count on me. I'll be right here waiting for you.
Hi, my name is Lily McDermott, and I am a certified life coach, a certified holistic cancer coach, and the host of the Lily McDermott radio show. If this is your first time in the classroom, please know I've been waiting for you. This is a safe place where you can go when you need a friend. It is my commitment to provide natural ways to heal, and it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening, as well as my viewing friend, will feel empowered to embrace a new truth and live the life of your dreams. Oh, well, I'm about to stir the pot. Yeah, baby, I'm going to stir it big time because this is what was my liberation back in 2011 when my world that I thought this is where I fit. I was a mommy and my youngest was graduating from high school and my older children didn't need a mommy anymore. And I didn't want to be their mommy anymore. I wanted to be their friend because I've done the job that I needed to do. But in that process, when my youngest son, I don't know, ladies, if you could relate, and gentlemen too, I don't know if you could relate that we pour everything into our children, or that we kind of get comfortable in these different seasons in our life. And all of a sudden, there's a break and that child, that last child, is graduating from high school. They're now getting ready to determine what their life is going to be like from now on. It cracked me to the point where I wanted to go get um like I felt like I needed personal growth, a retreat, and I've done a lot of retreats with my church, led a lot of retreats, led a Bible study. I did a lot of those things and I didn't want anything, nothing to be associated with anybody I knew because I was in my second year of the class of the radio show. Now it's a classroom. We love it, the classroom, and we learn and grow together here. But I didn't want anybody that knew me or knew anything about me because I wanted to break out of these molds. Like, oh, I'm the good Catholic girl with, a family that grew up Catholic and we do all the sacraments together. And there's nothing wrong with that. I just wanted to be in a place where I could just be. I didn't have to fit into that expectation that people had from you. I don't I don't know if I'm explaining this. Let me know if you can relate to feeling kind of trapped to kind of behave a certain way because there's an expectation for you to be the cantor, to be the lead, of whatever in your community, whether it's a church, your home, your HOA, whatever it is. Even when you go to a dance club and you're like supposed to be like that person that has is fearless and is going to dance with everybody. Well, maybe that's just you breaking out of your mold, and now that's where you breaking out feels good at a club or whatever. But when you're in your home, you're still fitting that mold. I think I need to break out of this mold right now. So what happened to me is that when I desired it and I declared it, that I need something different because I was kind of lost. For the first time in my life, I didn't know who I was. I had poured everything into my children, and now they don't need me the way that they did. Our business during the housing crisis, we had to close it down. Now I'm going to step out of this stay-at-home mom uh, to kind of help out with the finances. So there was a lot of things going on at the time, and but it's all good. At the time, it seemed like, oh, I don't know what to do. But here's the thing that every Christian should know. And if you're not a Christian, just hold on to this, that God works things out for the good of all who love him. And I can just stop that God works things out for the good of all because God loves us all. Whether we declare and proclaim him or not, God loves us all. And I truly believe that. So I don't want to pounce, like you have to be my faith or their faith or whatever. I just believe that God is much greater than what I was taught God was or God is, like this judge that sits on a throne going, you're going to hell, you're going to hell, you're going to hell. That is not the God I believe in. So that's another topic, another time. But this journey that I made, that declaration that I needed something different, that I needed to break out, I was like asphyxiating. That's what I felt like. I, I didn't know where and I didn't know how, but I knew God did, and that was good enough for me. Then I get a call from my friend Michelle saying, Lily, you got to go to this retreat. It's in Fort Myers. And I went, yes. I didn't know anything about it. I knew that that was God's answer to my call. My hello, God, something's got to be different here. And that was my answer. I didn't need to hear anything else. All I knew is that she was a different person. She was joyous. And not that I was not joyous, but there was a lot of things that I knew I was no longer needed to be. And I needed to become something else, or maybe allow who I am to come out. The real Lily McDermott, the Lily that used to twirl around when I was a little girl on my tippy toes because I have always wanted to be a dancer. And I was so, so shy. But then as I grew up, I hated being shy. And I worked really hard to get out of my comfort zone. So that was a challenge for me because we know when you're in a meeting and you say something different about yourself that nobody knows. And I say, I'm shy, everybody laughs. Well, you don't know what I've gone through to break through that. I may be a shy extrovert, maybe, or maybe my self-confidence was so low growing up that I needed to break out of that belief that I was shy. Not when I was performing on the dance floor, not when we were doing recitals as a little girl. I was calming everybody down. My mom thought she was going to have to take me out of my first recital because I'd be crying in the corner. And that's not what happened. I calmed everybody down. I was telling them about the steps. It was just me, glimpses of who I was created to be. But then society, because of the way I was in my personal life, would say I was shy. And oh, she's my shy one. But, so you start building up in this mold, this belief system that, oh, she's the smart one, she's the pretty one, she's the happy one, she's the this, or he's the that, or he's the athlete, she's the jock. And all these well-meaning parents kind of like breathe that and manifest that into our children that perhaps that wasn't what God intended for that child. It certainly wasn't what God intended for me. And I can go on and on about all the different things that happened to me that pushed me into where I'm at today. Pushed me. Sometimes it was hard to, like, especially when I was younger. Like, I knew I was being called to do something and I would do it, but the anxiety that would be there, like giving my first talk or getting up and speaking, I could sing in front of people. I just couldn't be myself and speak in front of people. Going back to when I got that call, I knew that I had to change, that something needed to change in me. I did not know what, I did not know how it was going to happen, but I knew God knew. And that call was my answer to my prayer. Moving forward, not only did I go through the program and learned incredible things about myself, things that I had suppressed, things that I didn't even know were the cause of my behavior. It was amazing. It was an amazing journey. And it was a 3 months journey that while I was doing that, actually, it wasn't a 3 months journey. It was probably a 6 month journey from start to finish. And then I went back after serving at many of the retreats myself and bringing people and bringing my friends and to introducing them to this retreat. It wasn't until, maybe a year because Robert went through it too, and my son Blake went through it, and I was just so thrilled to involve change, kind of like all of us speak the same language. And then after they went through their process, I decided I was going to go back and I asked if I could go through their coaching program. So it was very unique. So I went through the coaching program, and that was another probably year or so. So now we're into it to almost 2 years, I believe. Maybe my memory escapes, but then I became a certified life coach. Did that change my life? What it changed was my belief system. Those things, those patterns, everything that I was taught of who I was or what was right, what was wrong, was not necessarily true, or why I acted a certain way when there was something going on. Why would I need to defend the truth? Why did I feel, and I was able to lovingly go back and with games because we played games and I love to play games. So that was the concept of this retreat where we would play games, and in those games you got to see your real self. Not all was a game, but that's basically each section was called a game. We're going to play a game that where you could just relax and be yourself, and the how you behaved in that center in that retreat place is how you behave out in the real world. So, do you like to play games and win, and you win at any cost? Is that who you are? Do you minimize who you are and let other people win because you don't deserve to win? All these things came out in me, and these were new truths. These were such new truths that it created a crack in me that allowed me to blossom. And all those years of wonderful retreats and all those years of all the trials and tribulations and moments of my life, I embraced them as all good. Not that I ever thought they were bad, but I made that true commitment to rewrite it so that I would never have to suffer those losses again, because those losses led me to who I am today. And I like me. Whether you like me or not, I like me. Heck, I love me. Not in a narcissistic way, but I fell in love with who I am, the good, the bad, the ugly. No apologies. And I was able to go back to my children and apologize to them for the way that I behaved during certain times. And I told them why I believed the way I did. And they were so gracious to accept my apology. It was life-changing for me. It still is. Because now, not only that, that moment I had started the classroom or the radio show at the time. This is when all this started happening. So that would be 2011. And I thought, I'm learning in the show, but if I want everybody to grow, I must lead by example. I need to grow too. So that was the genesis. That was the, what, because I was beginning to learn about natural, which I was totally allopathic. My dream as a career was to become a pharmacy rep or a pharmaceutical rep. But my belief was I wasn't pretty enough and I didn't have the education that they required. That that is the honest truth. And again, I will always tell you honestly what is in my heart. But that's what I believed about myself. I didn't believe I was capable. I mean, I knew I could do it, but because I didn't have that education that they were looking for, then society, allowed, uh, kept me from being that. So I became my own rep in my own marketing company. But that's okay. I have Lillian and McDermott Associates, and I was started working with doctors and lawyers, but that was not how it started. Everything in my life has flowed to where I am today. Yes, there has been resistance in me at times, but then I go through my process of acceptance. And then I deal with it and I work with it. Never did I think that this process would also help when I'm coaching people. When I lost my pregnancy and my two sisters were married, that was probably the first thing that ever rocked my world. And my first time I ever questioned God. Why did he do this to me? Gave me a pregnancy I didn't want, and uh, and then took it away when I wanted it. See, victim mentality. I never took ownership for it. But that's who's different, who stands before you today, someone who's willing to take ownership. So then I became very curious as to what else is out there. When I was raw vegan, I was challenged to go raw vegan for a month on the show, and that was the start of 4 days later of accepting the challenge and going raw vegan. I felt really good, but I didn't feel bad. I just didn't know I could feel better. And those were the truths that, like, wow, I didn't know this was real. I was told that if I eat a certain way, this is all I needed to eat. And so all of a sudden, I started becoming curious. Then I interviewed Dr. Lorraine Day, and man, did she poke me in the eye. I was so angry after that show. But why was I angry? Because my belief system was attacked. I didn't say the truth was attacked, my belief system, because your belief system can become part of your ego. And your ego wants to look good, be comfortable, be right, and in control. Those are the four things that when you're feeling these feelings, chances are you're in your ego. Yes. And that was a reality for me too. And I got to look at myself that why am I angry? Why is your difference of opinion making me angry? And it was because in my family growing up, whoever talked the loudest was the rightest. And we had to defend our belief system. And even if I had to crush you in your belief system and make you feel small about your belief system, I won. And I'm not that person anymore. I haven't been for quite some time. But some people that knew old Lillian McDermott, the younger Lillian McDermott, probably were right at that judgment. But I have changed. And I really do believe I have changed for the better. And I'm grateful for all those teachers that have brought me here. So now let's talk about the truths that were lies and the lies that are truths. I'll just give you a quick example, not a big deal example, but this is when I started being curious, really curious as to where did these beliefs come from? You know, do I feel that if I don't share the same belief as somebody else, I'm going to lose them as a friend. I'm going to lose their trust in me, or whatever it is that sometimes you comply, like I did in the church. I never believed in confession. As a Catholic young little girl, every time I had to go to confession to receive my sacraments, every time the priest would say, why are you here? Why? And I'm like, I don't believe I should be here. As shy as I was, I spoke the truth. I told them that I didn't feel like I needed to talk to him about my problems or my sins, because I had a relationship with God and I know that God forgives me. And I just didn't quite understand. But that was part of my faith. That was part of what I needed to believe. Not that I ever purposely went to confession, but whenever I did certain things, there were things I needed to do in order to receive it. So then I would comply. But did I believe in it? No. Now I know all of you Catholics, which I grew up Catholic and I truly embrace and I love the Catholic Church. Who said that that's the way it needed to be? I confess my sins to God. Now, if you're angry about this, then really seriously look at, why do you feel that you need to tell somebody else? Heck, you can tell me as your coach. But regardless of how you believe and the dogmas of the church, I loved the church. I loved the church. I believe that being around Christians is just wonderful. But where did we get our belief system? I truly believe the Bible was rewritten to suit the king. So do we really believe God's truth or someone's interpretation? Oh my gosh, if I ever say that to a Christian, I get hit over the head. But this is my platform. I can say what's in my heart. And if you don't agree with it, bring it. Say why you'd feel this way. But I don't mean any disrespect. I just question it. Question it with curiosity, not being critical. That's what's so important. What's changed in me. That I can have a conversation now with somebody that has a totally different belief system, a totally different value, and I'll go, oh, tell me more. I want to learn. I want to understand why you believe the way you do. So, to give you my example, I was asked to sing at Helen and Jim's daughter's wedding. It was the daughter's second marriage, and it was a home wedding where it was blessed at at the home, and then there was a reception afterwards. Well, I didn't really know a lot of the people there, and I don't like to sit around and just not do anything. So I asked Helen if I could help. Of course, I sang at the wedding, but that was, or the nuptials, but that wasn't enough for me. So I went into the kitchen, and Helen and Jim were working in the kitchen to get everything ready. And I noticed, I said to Helen, Helen, is there anything you need? And she said, ask Jim. And Jim was in the process of watering the filter for the coffee. He put it under the faucet, wet it, and then he put it into the drip coffee maker. And I immediately thought, oh my goodness, that's brilliant, because 2 days, a week before, every other time that I did coffee, I don't drink coffee anymore, but whenever I did it and the filter would flop, then I would get coffee grounds in my coffee. So I asked Jim, because I thought, I know why he's doing it. But because I'm curious, I said, Jim, why did you wet that filter? I thought I knew the answer. And he went, well, it's well, and he's like pouring the coffee and he's doing all the things. And he goes, I don't know. Helen, why do we wet the filter? And she goes, Jim, it's because, I don't know. My mom told me to taught me to do it. And that was their answer. To me, it was if you wet the filter, it sticks to the sides and eliminating that process of getting the coffee grounds. So I immediately, as I saw that, I knew why he was doing it, and how it had happened to me. And I noticed that that coffee, the filter was down when I had the coffee grounds. And so because of my experience, I was curious about their experience, and it was funny. It was funny because that's how we create our belief system. We are told. We are told by our parents. We are told by our teachers. We are told by, here's another example. I grew up in a very, very conservative Hispanic family. We were taught that you are a virgin until you get married. Chastity was very important, of course, as a Christian as well. And I remember in the ninth to my 10th year of high school, on my 10th, I was a sophomore in high school. I didn't go to high school for 10 years. Um, when I was a sophomore in high school, I was taught by my teacher that if I get pregnant, that a form of birth control is abortion. And I know a lot of people have been taught that too, but that was not what I was taught as a child. Well, as a 15, 16-year-old little girl, I was ready with my new truth and I wanted to tell my mom. So I went to my mom and I said, my mom was cooking in the kitchen and I saw her back. So I saw the back of my mom as she's preparing, getting the spices. And I said, Mommy, I learned something new today in school, that if I ever get pregnant before I get married, I am going to have an abortion. And that movement that my mom had slowed down. And then all of a sudden, her hands were on the stove and she slowly turned around. I didn't know what she was going to say, but I was curious. Um, and she said, Lily, it's a good thing you're going to be a virgin till you get married because you won't have to make that decision. That was a good truth. That was a good truth. I've learned since then that that truth that that teacher taught me is not God's truth. And but there are people who fight to defend women's reproductive organs, right? But the reality is there's a child there. Who protects the child? Nobody talks about the child. The child, I used to work with lawyers and doctors in a previous life and how I started my company. And they taught me that in their freshman year of law school, they had to argue both sides of the argument just as passionate, for or against, just as passionate as if that was their truth. And I understand that there are people that will pray in front of abortion clinics. That's their ministry to help that child or that woman change their mind. And there's others who are, calling them, walking them in so that they can get their abortion. So which one is real? Which one is truth? And then there's no conversation between the two. None whatsoever. And they hate one another. Look at how the world is today between Democrats and Republicans. And I've said all along, no sports, no politics. But you got to see that now we can't have a difference of opinion without it being a fight. I had a conversation with my hairdresser, and they were saying all these terrible things about everything that's wrong in this world was Trump's fault. And I said, really? Is that true? Or is that a bias? Is that your belief system or is it true? Do you have proof of this? Where did you get your information? And they got so upset. They said, I'm going to be so angry. And I didn't want my hairdresser to be angry with me. So I said, why would you be angry with me? We're sharing our opinions. We're sharing what our belief system is. I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm just telling you what I believe and what I've seen and what I've, looked at. But if you can share with me proof and how you came to that conclusion, then that's all we need to discuss. And besides, I love you. Why do we argue about this? And I gave him a kiss. And that diffused the situation. But if I kept going, poking him in the eye, poking him in the eye, boop, boop, then he may have walked away. And that would have been lopsided. My hair would have looked lopsided. But that's not what happened because I am open. And I think all of us need to be open to the other side. I remember one time going with my friend Julie to a mosque. And the idea was, oh, well, in mosque, men are superior to women. That's why they're in the front and the women are in the back. Well, it wasn't until I went into the mosque to worship, uh, I realized I don't want to be staring at, like I don't want a man be staring at my butt. That was like that's the view I had was I was staring at a man's behind, the men's behind. Women, if you put a woman in the front, then the men will be staring at their behinds. Okay, that's not what I was taught. I was taught that women had to be submissive and they're in the back, they can't be in the front. But it gave me a different perspective of a Muslim mosque, of that faith. I also have worshiped with other denominations, not because I wanted to become their denomination, but because I wanted to learn and understand. And I believe that that's the foundation. Because if everything you believe is true is a lie, then those lies could be true. Aren't you curious? Don't you want to find out? Well, I did. But it wasn't until I sought my own personal growth that I was able to crack myself open. And let me tell you, I was a tough cookie. In my second retreat, my mentor at the time, um, was in my face and she knew how to crack me open. And I had this shell of this, what people need to see. It's the looking good shell. That's part of the ego as well, by the way. And it's that looking good shell that she cracked open. She got me out of the belief system of my ego into my curiosity of my essence. Even though I haven't seen that person in a long time, I truly am grateful for that moment where it cracked me open so that I could see that just because I believe something doesn't make it true. Now, if I research it and I research both sides, now I can have a better conclusion of how it is, what is true. And even then, things change, science change, opinions change, data changes. Listen, I've corrected AI so many times, and now that's going to become our truth? Oh, no, 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 no. Verify AI. I remember there have been many times that I've checked and I'm like, oh no, that is not true. And I'll say, that's not true. This is what I believe. And the AI thing says, I apologize. You're right. We've got to question it. If we stop questioning it, then what's going to happen to this world? We need to have critical thinkers. And hate needs to go out the door. No one should be hated to the point where objectivity is no longer important. Anyway, when I am sharing this, I am just so passionate. I spend a lot of time with my clients rewriting the story of the belief, rewriting it. Okay, so That being said, I was totally allopathic. And I remember dipping my toe in natural health when I met Dr. Lorraine Day, swore she'd never come back. But it was my curiosity. No, it wasn't my curiosity. It was my ego that wanted to prove her wrong. And when I started doing my research, I realized, oh my, I need to have her back. And then I would have her back for a different topic, and then she would again attack my belief system, ego. And I'd say, she's never coming back. It wasn't until 2019 when all this madness about COVID and the pandemic and health and wellness and wearing a mask and not wearing a mask that I reached out to her again. And boy, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. She became one of my dear friends. But what a difference. Had I been in my ego saying, she's wrong, I'm right, I'm going to win here at any cost, even not researching it and sticking to my belief, that is all ego. And once again, the ego doesn't want you to be happy. It wants you to look good, be right, in control, and comfortable. Comfortable can kill you. There are people who are comfortable being beaten every night before they go to bed or when they say something wrong by their spouse. There are people who drink until they pass out every night and they're comfortable with that, but it could kill you. We need to be curious and know that God will plant that spirit, that spiritual awakening, that spiritual truth that you can't deny, that you get to research. Why do I believe this? Who taught me this? Why do people hate a certain race or a religion? Why do people fight each other? And do they even know what they're fighting about? No, they were taught. Why are people still diseased? They were taught how to eat. We were taught that we were victims of our DNA. We were taught these lies that support the pharmaceutical industry, other industries, and this might get taken off. So I don't know. This might be taken off the YouTube or Facebook. I don't know if it will, but I'm going to share with you that that is why I started the I Am the Solution Natural Health Summit for cancer and autoimmune disease. This year, on November 1st, 2025, we are going to have a summit, but not just for prevention, but for reversal. What can we do naturally to reverse? So, before I continue there, I am going to tell you that I'd love for you to go to whenyouneedafriend.com. While you're there, please subscribe to the website. That way you know everything that's happening from this point on, if you haven't done so already. You get everything at your fingertips. You can just, if you like a person or if you like the topic, you can click on it and their name, and it'll take you to their website. I share all that information. So you also please like and follow me on social media so that you get alerts as to when these classes are coming on. We don't do the classroom live anymore. However, I will tell you that we make sure that if there are any questions, if you want to text me, you can text me at 407-373-5959, and you can email me at lily@whenyouneedafriend.com. Those are things that I want to be able to encourage you. There's a lot of people that think I am their Google, and I'm not necessarily Google. You can do your own research, and maybe you can ask me, hey, what do you think about this? Or what do you think about that? People want to spend time talking to me, and if and I'm doing this for free, I don't make any money doing the classroom. But where I make my money is in coaching and events that I do for others, for other doctors. I work with as a marketing rep for different companies. And so that's how I make my money, not the classroom. And so I started the radio show that turned into you can take a pill, you can take responsibility. Victim no more. I was a victim. I learned that I had that victim mentality, that things happened to me, but I realized that things, God created these things or allowed these things that I created for me so that I could grow and learn. This is what we talk about in the classroom. So please subscribe, like, and follow me. Share this video with your friends. Let them know that this event is happening in November 1st. And we were going to have great speakers, phenomenal speakers, unbelievable vendors, and amazing uh, people that are curious, that are looking to figuring out how can I be my own MD, my own medical detective? Yes, I do have people that I go and I consult with, when I have some health crisis or whatever it is. And they work with me. They don't just tell me what to do. They say, "Okay, what about this, Lily? Will you do this? And how can we work with that?" I don't I don't even I question everything. I question everything I do as well. Like, is this true or is this a belief system? So when you go to whenyouneedafriend.com, you click on the pop-up, learn about it. We have a $25 discount if you get your ticket before the deadline. And then after that, then it goes to full price because I love a great deal. Because of this class here today, I'm going to give one ticket away. And so that means that if you want to bring a friend, let them pay for their ticket. You get one for you and tell everybody. And maybe if you tell 10 people, then you're going to bring 10 people, I'll give you a second one for free. Let's talk about it. Text me if you want to help bring people to the event. Help me, and we can, because I want standing room only. Because when I gave my talk at the event last year, which was the I Am the Solution Natural Health Summit, it was my second one. As I'm giving my talk, I look around, we had 160 people there. And I thought, why aren't there more? That was the thought. I'm giving my talk and I'm looking around, joyous that 160 people were there. But the question that came, the curiosity is, why aren't there more? And in my research, I realized people don't care about prevention. I want to eat whatever I want to eat, whenever I want to eat, whenever I want to drink, whenever I want to sleep, whenever I want to act, whenever I want to say. I want to be stressful. I don't want to change anything. So going to a prevention thing may not be as exciting as now I've got a disease. Now I want to reverse it. I want to figure out if there's another way other than taking the pill. And that is why I Am the Solution Natural Health Summit is so important. So if you're interested in getting your free ticket a week from today, I'll draw that one name, put your name in the winner's basket. So if you're listening on podcast, fly over from wherever you are because we're going to have some great speakers. And by the way, we're going to zoom in. Last year, Dr. Thomas Levy was there, but he's moved away. So we're going to zoom Dr. Thomas Levy and zoom Dr. Joel Furman, who are going to talk to us about Dr. Furman is going to be talking about how connections to cancer or autoimmune disease are in our food. And Dr. Levy is going to talk about the reversal of Epstein-Barr. Sylvie Beljanski, she's going to be talking about the war on cancer or how to end cancer. We have some other great speakers that we will bring to future classes in soon, and you will learn more and more and more. But get your tickets today. Click the link, the code, not the code below, but the hyperlink, yes, in the description, and it'll take you straight there. If you have because you are a subscriber, you have the link already there, so it'll take you straight there, or you can go to whenyouneedafriend.com and it'll tell you more. So I can tell you about my Shop Now bag and how there's Lilly approved products from head to toe, from makeup to pain management. I can tell you about the fact that we need help when it comes to the classroom. So please donate. Donate to the classroom. If you're looking to donate to a cause, why not? the classroom because we're sharing new truths for free, and I hope that you have benefited from all this information. So please consider going to the I Am the Solution. Mark your calendars, November 1st, 2025. I'm excited because I haven't been able to promote this yet because, people don't look 3 months in advance, but we're right around the corner. It's right around the corner. And so I am excited to fill the room, standing room only. Well, we have a limit of like 300 people, but I would love, love, love for everybody to say, I deserve to learn these new truths. This was life-changing for me. To learn, just to learn. Does that mean I have to buy into it? No, I don't have to buy into it. I remember when I first, going back to the abortion thing, and for those of you who believe abortion is a form of birth control, that's between you and God. But what I remember when I married my husband, when I met Robert, he was totally pro-life and I was pro-choice. And I bought into the women's reproductive system. How about the women's right to say no to getting pregnant? Because once you get pregnant, it's not just your life, it's somebody else's life. You're accountable right then and there for that life. Because I worked with attorneys, and I will tell you, when I talked about arguing both sides of the coin, pro-choice versus pro-life is one thing. But when you are pregnant and you are driving, and as a result of the accident, your baby miscarries or dies, and you're pregnant, that is it's manslaughter. That is considered a life. At that moment, that's considered a life. But why isn't it a life when you're not in an accident? So those are things that I want you to question. Go, this is not about I'm right, you're wrong. This is about being curious. It's about being curious enough to say, I'm taking all these pills, I'm taking all these pills, and I'm still sick. I'm taking all these pills and I have all these side effects, but that is the only way? No. Maybe there is another way. Maybe there is another truth. Are you curious or do you want to be critical? Do you want to defend the belief system with your ego or look into it with your essence? It's up to you. I don't have to convince you. I don't have to be right, but I will tell you, this is my truth. This is the, um, I'm never going to say I hold the truth because God holds that. But this is the truth that connects me to God. And we have that spirit, that Holy Spirit, that voice within, that intuition that says, this isn't quite right. But we ignore it because we're afraid that if we take a stand against what we're being told, then we might lose friends. We might get shamed. We might get pushed out of the club. We might get ridiculed. But thank God, I just don't care what people think about me anymore. How liberating is that? It's none of my business. You don't pay my bills. You're not the person I'm going to be accountable to when I am in front of my maker, my God. I'm not accountable to you. I'm accountable to God. And so that's why I'm using these truths that people have like such disdain for, to the point where they can't even question, why do I believe this? Why do I feel so angry every time somebody talks about this? And health was one thing. When I found out that I had food allergies, this was back in the 90s, and instantly, I gave up wheat, dairy, peanuts, almonds, eggs, peas, and rye. People were like, oh, that's all in your head. I eat it. I'm okay. Well, I made a choice to listen to my body, to listen to the blood's reaction in my body. I had cystic acne, I had stomach problems, and I just didn't know. I thought I was eating well. Yes, I may have been eating well, but within that wellness, there were items that I was allergic to. If you are allergic to cats and you have 10 cats, this is a mathematical equation here, a mathematical question. If you have 10 cats and you're allergic to cats, you find out that you're allergic to cats, and you get rid of 5 cats, does that solve your problem? Hmm. What do you think? No, you got to get rid of all of it. You got to, not only that, you got to tear the carpet, all the furniture, because it's in there. It's in there. And that's what our belief system does. We say, oh, okay, well, I'll just do it a little bit at a time. Well, this is why I I am the solution natural health summit. And it's not that I am in me. It's the God I am that is in me because I believe, and this is my secret to life. Write it down now because I hope you got your pencil and paper. I will tell you that God, it's biblical, it's in the Bible and the teachings of God. There's scripture verses that tell us, like I used the scripture verse from Romans, that God works things out for the good of all. And the scripture verse that states that I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Well, Christ is in me, God is in me, God is everywhere. That I am, that voice, that intuition that I've ignored most of my life. Because I would say over the last 15 years, I have changed. Thank God for the classroom because I've learned some new truths. And you know in the classroom when teacher says something that I don't necessarily agree with, I'll go, huh, I'm gonna need to research that some more. Am I gonna discredit them? No, but I need to do more research. You'll know that it's not resonating with me. I don't have to call people out. So, are you willing to learn the truth, or do you want to continue in your belief system? And here's another tip, guys. And this is something that I learned and that I created a meme for, and hopefully I will have this for this class somewhere along the way. Is that if you look at the word belief, the 3 letters in the middle is L-I-E. And I remember seeing that in my vision board, the word belief, where it was in white, but the L-I was red. And I looked at it and I said, because I was upset about something not happening fast enough for me. And so as I looked at my vision board, I saw the word belief in the L-I in red, and then I saw lie. And I said to me, when something's not happening, I have a limiting belief about something, and that's what's keeping me from having it. That's why we sabotage ourselves and we don't get to that excellence or that destiny that God has for us, that ordination that God has ordained, that what God has ordained for us. And I said, what is the lie at the center of my belief? And I looked, and that's when I saw the L-I. And so that became a meme shortly after that. And that's the question I want to ask you. Could there be a lie at the center of your belief? Are you willing to dive into it, look deeper into it, so that you can either embrace it or reject it? And then you don't have to defend it. You don't have to defend it. That's the beauty of it. When you know it's truth, it needs no defending. God takes care of that. So, you're cordially invited to come and learn new truths about health and wellness at the I Am the Solution Natural Health Summit. Come from I'm going to give a prize to the person who comes from the furthest. That's not a speaker, or that is not a, well, maybe a vendor too. We'll do that. We'll do a vendor and we'll do a speaker and we'll figure it out. I'm in the moment right now, but I will follow up with this. Please, it's time. It's time to stop defending the limiting beliefs that we think is true, that may be disguised as truth and a lie. And those lies that we believe, like, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist, you wear a tin hat. Look into what they're saying with a curiosity, with your essence, not with your ego, with criticism. It's time. It's time. And it's time. Make a decision, mark your calendars, and text me or email me if you want a free ticket to go to the event. This is my first free ticket that I'm going to give away. And I am really excited about the I Am the Solution Natural Health Summit this year. And because we're focusing on cancer and autoimmune disease, and most everybody I know has a condition that is going to be discussed in the summit. And I pray and I hope and I declare that for those of you that said, I'd never go to that, would be curious to come. Curious to come, because I will greet you with open arms. And if you disagree, at least you researched it. And at least now you know what path you're going to take. And please remember, we'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. This is Lily McDermott wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever.
The opinions and advice expressed on the Lily and McDermott radio show are intended for the individual callers and guests on the program and are presented to our wider audience solely for general educational purposes. Please act responsibly and consult personally with your own medical, psychological, or nutritional expert before taking any steps to improve your life.